My today's topic is J.Krishnamurti's view on violence. We are facing more and more, day by day, in personal, social, national, as well as international level. Let's look what is said about the violence. He described an incident to highlight the violence in our society. Two crows were squabbling in the air, carving and tearing at each other. There was no enough foothold in the air, so they came down to the earth, struggling with each other. On the ground, feathers began to fly and the fight began to be serious. Suddenly, about a dozen other crows descended upon them and put an end to their fight. After a lot of carving and scolding, they all disappeared into the trees. By this incident, he came to talk about violence. He wrote in his journal about that violence. That violence is everywhere, among the highly educated and the most primitive, among the intellectuals and the sentimentalists. Neither education nor organized religions have been able to tame men. On the contrary, they have been responsible for wars, tortures, concentration camps, and for the slaughter of animals on land and sea. The more he progresses, the more cruel man seems to become. Politics have become gangsterism, one group against another. Nationalism has led to war. There are economic wars. There are personal hatreds and violence. Man doesn't seem to learn from experience and knowledge, and violence in every form goes on. What place has knowledge in the transformation of man and his society? He raises a question. He goes on. The energy that has gone into the accumulation of knowledge has not changed man. It has not put an end to violence. The energy that has gone into 1,000 explanations of why he is so aggressive, brutal, insensitive, has not put an end to his cruelty. The energy which has been spent in analysis of the cause of his insane destruction, his pleasure in violence, sadism, the bullying activity, has in no way made men considerate and gentle. In spite of all the words and books, threats and punishment, man continue his violence. Violence is not only in the killing, in the bomb, in revolutionary change through bloodshed. It is deeper and more subtle. Conformity and imitation are the indications of violence. Imposition and the accepting of authority are an indication of violence. Ambition and competition are an expression of this aggression and cruelty. And comparison breeds envy with its animosity and hatred. Where there is conflict, inner or outer, there is a ground for violence. Division in all its forms brings about conflict and pain. You know all this. You have read about the actions of violence. You have seen it in yourself and around you, and you have heard it. And yet violence has not come to an end. Why?
The explanations and the causes of such behavior have no real significance. If you are indulging in them, you are wasting your energy, which you need to transcend violence. You need all your energy to meet and go beyond the energy that is being wasted in violence. Controlling violence is another form of violence, for the controller is the controlled. In total attention, the summation of all energy, violence in all its forms comes to an end. Attention is not a word, an abstract formula of thought, but an act in daily life. Action is not an ideology, but if action is the outcome of it, then it leads to violence. After the rains, the river goes around every boulder, every town and village, and however much it is polluted, it cleanses itself and runs through valleys, gorges and meadows.